Here we go. Look. Disney's Pinocchio. See, it's Pinocchio. Come here, Maddie. Look at that.
What?
Look at that.
Apple.
An apple.
Red.
Yeah. It's, once upon a time, in a quaint little village, a beautiful wishing star shone brightly in the evening sky. A cricket named Jiminy wandered along the village streets. He saw a lighted window and went inside. See, look, there's a window. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Jiminy Cricket looked around amazed. He had stumbled on a woodcarver's shop full of fantastic clocks, cute little music boxes, and a shelf after shelf of toys. The shop belonged to kindly old Geppetto. Look at those toys. You see them? Hey, you see those toys, Maddie?
What? What?
Yeah. 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 Look at this. Geppetto took his paintbrush and carefully painted on eyebrows and a mouth. Figaro, his cat, and Cleo, his goldfish, watched as he worked. I have just a name for you, Geppetto said when he finished. Pinocchio. Where's Pinocchio?
Yes.
Geppetto put little Pinocchio away for the night. Then he and Figaro climbed into the bed. Geppetto started out the window looking up at the sky. It's the wishing star, he cried. Then Geppetto made a wish. Look, it's a star. You see that star? As Geppetto slept, he dreamed about his wish. He'd wished that Pinocchio might be a real boy. Suddenly, a brilliant light filled Geppetto's room. It sparkled and grew into a beautiful blue fairy. Good, Geppetto, said the fairy. You deserve to have your wish come true. She waved her magic wand over Pinocchio, saying, Little puppet made of pine, wake. The gift is thine. Look, who's that? Suddenly, Pinocchio lifted his arms and spoke. I'm a real boy, he asked. No, the fairy explained. First, you must prove yourself brave, truthful, and unselfish. You must learn to choose between right and wrong. The blue fairy told Pinocchio that he must let his conscience be his guide, and with a little coaxing from the blue fairy, Jiminy Cricket agreed to be his conscience. Then she was gone. Geppetto, hearing strange noises, jumped out of bed. When he got to his workshop, he saw a little puppet dancing around and singing. Geppetto lifted Pinocchio into the air and hugged him close. The next morning, Geppetto walked Pinocchio outside and pointed to all the children passing by. They're going to school, he explained. Now that you're a little boy, you must go to school too. What's that? A fish? Yeah.
What?
A cat? Pinocchio? Geppetto? Hoping to make Geppetto proud, Pinocchio hurried off. He didn't realize two sneaky-looking characters were watching him. A live puppet with no strings, the fox exclaimed. We can sell him to Stromboli, the puppeteer.
What?
Who's that, a fox? The fox tripped Pinocchio with his cane. I am J. Worthington, foul fellow, but my friends call me Honest John, he explained. Apple fell down?
We're done.
Yeah, he explained. And this is Gordon, he added, pointing to the cat standing by his side. Pinocchio looked up at Honest John. I have to get to school.
Don't know when.
Yeah, he explained. Honest John convinced Pinocchio that school was a waste of time. Come with us, he coaxed. We'll make you a star. Back at Geppetto's workshop, Jiminy Cricket hurried into his coat and hat and ran out the door. He saw Honest John, Gideon, and Pinocchio heading down the street in the wrong direction. Soon, Jiminy Cricket caught up with Pinocchio and tried to change his mind, but it was too late. Honest John had convinced Pinocchio to go on stage. They were going to see Stromboli the puppeteer. Oh no! He's supposed to go to school. Honest John led Pinocchio right into Stromboli's greedy hands. That night, Pinocchio made his stage debut with Jiminy Cricket in the audience. Everyone was amazed to see a singing, dancing puppet with no strings. When the show was over, the crowd applauded wildly and threw gold coins at Pinocchio's feet. Pinocchio loved all the attention, and Stromboli loved all the money the little puppet had made him. Later that night, Pinocchio couldn't wait to get home and tell Geppetto all about his new career. When Stromboli heard Pinocchio talking about going home, he threw him in a cage and locked the door. As Pinocchio cried and called out for Jiminy, the cricket sneaked into Stromboli's wagon. Jiminy couldn't believe his eyes when he saw Pinocchio locked in a cage. Oh no! He's in a cage!
What?
Yeah.
You.
A shoe?
Look.
Yeah. Look, oh no, sad. Meanwhile, poor Geppetto was very worried about his little son. He went out to search for Pinocchio. It is raining, yeah. Back at Stromboli's wagon, Jiminy was trying to free Pinocchio, but the blue fairy appeared. When she asked Pinocchio why he hadn't gone to school, Pinocchio told so many lies that his new nose grew. Pinocchio promised that he would never lie again. Look at his nose!
Oh no! Oh no!
The blue fairy agreed to give him another chance. Then she disappeared once more. Jiminy and Pinocchio jumped down from the cage and ran home as fast as they could.
Oh no!
Oh no. In a nearby tavern, Honest John and Gideon were meeting with a coachman who liked to lure boys to Pleasure Island. The coachman promised Honest John and Gideon money if they would help him find some boys. Soon, Honest John and Gideon were back on the streets where they spotted Pinocchio. Pretending that Pinocchio looked sickly, Honest John convinced the little puppet that he needed some rest and relaxation on Pleasure Island. Honest John and Gideon led Pinocchio down the street. They told him all about the wonders of Pleasure Island. Games, toys, candy, rides, and it was all free. Poor Jiminy tried to catch up with them. Outside the village, Honest John had turned Pinocchio over to the coachman. Pinocchio had climbed aboard a stagecoach filled with boys. The coachman cracked his whip, and off they went to Pleasure Island. Look at that. All those kids. Look at that. When the boys arrived on Pleasure Island, they could hardly believe their eyes. There were no grown-ups all around them to tell them what to do. The boys could be as naughty as they liked. Pinocchio soon made friends with a boy named Lampwick. If my mother could see me now, she'd have a fit, he explained to Pinocchio, who was about to sample some sugary treats. While Pinocchio was busy with Lampwick, Jiminy Cricket explored the island. He came upon the coachman giving orders to his men. Shut the doors and lock them tight. Jiminy knew he had to find Pinocchio right away. Pinocchio, Pinocchio, Jiminy called, looking around the dark and deserted place. Where is everybody? Jiminy saw a light in the pool hall. Then there he found Pinocchio and Lampwick playing pool. You're coming home with me, Jiminy cried. Lampwick laughed. You're taking orders from a grasshopper? Poor Pinocchio was caught between his new friend and his conscience. On your way out, Jiminy and the coachman and his men putting the donkeys in crates. You boys will bring me a nice price, the coachman smiled. Jiminy realized that the donkeys were the boys of Pleasure Island. Oh no, what's happening? What's happening, Maddie? Look, come here. Jiminy ran back to warn Pinocchio, but it was too late. Lampwick had already changed into a donkey. Poor Pinocchio stared in horror as he sprouted his own set of donkey ears and a tail. What's happening? Oh no. Quick, we've got to get out of here, yelled Jiminy. Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket raced across the now deserted island leaving the coachman and donkeys behind. They climbed up the rocks and jumped into the sea. The pair finally reached the shore and headed for home. But when they arrived, Geppetto was nowhere to be found. A dove flying overhead dropped a letter for Pinocchio. Look, a letter. What does the letter say? The letter said that Geppetto had gone looking for Pinocchio and had been swallowed by a whale named Monstro. Pinocchio and Jiminy headed back to sea. At the bottom of the ocean, they began their search for Monstro. Pinocchio and Jiminy asked every fish and creature where to find Monstro, but no one would help him. Soon, Pinocchio spotted Monstro as the monster was waking up. Meanwhile, deep inside Monstro's belly, Geppetto was hoping for a miracle. There isn't a fish left, he explained to poor starving Figaro and Cleo. If the monster doesn't wake up soon, I'm afraid we're done for. Oh no! Suddenly, Monstro started to swim. He was ready for lunch. He opened his gigantic jaws and sucked the entire school of fish and Pinocchio along with them. Pinocchio and the fish swam down the whale's throat into his giant belly. When he got there, Pinocchio found himself in the arms of a very happy Geppetto. Look, there's a whale, an angry whale. Look at his eyes. We must get out of here, Pinocchio said. But how? Then Pinocchio had an idea. He began chopping up furniture. We'll start a fire and make lots of smoke, Pinocchio said. Then Monstro will wake up and sneeze us out. Oh no, they're making a fire in a whale. Monstro soon felt the fire in his belly. Inside, everyone quickly jumped into a raft that Geppetto had built and paddled towards the whale's throat. When Monstro let out an enormous sneeze, he blew the raft out to sea. Monstro was furious. Seeing the raft bobbing up ahead, he smashed it into pieces.
Mad.
Yeah, mad. Pinocchio, holding on to Geppetto, swam with all his might. He led Monstro into a collision with the rocks. Oh no. Pinocchio had made sure that Geppetto got safely to shore. But when Geppetto looked around for his little son, he found him lying face down in the water. Geppetto picked up Pinocchio and carried him home. Once inside, Geppetto laid Pinocchio on his bed. Suddenly, the blue fairy appeared. She waved her wand over Pinocchio, saying, You have proven yourself brave, truthful, and unselfish. Now you will become a real boy. Look at him. Maddie, look, he's a real boy. The lifeless wooden boy was suddenly transformed into a real little boy. Geppetto wound his music boxes and they began to dance. What celebration they had. The woodcarver, his son, the cat, the goldfish, and a wise cricket named Jiminy. Look, they're dancing. Look, they're happy. The end. You liked it?
What?
Oh, you want to look on the side? Who's that? It's Geppetto, Pinocchio, and the blue fairy. Geppetto?
What?
Geppetto. That's his name.
What?
It's Geppetto. Pinocchio and blue fairy. The end.